Every week we sit down with Oklahoma City Police Chief Gourley, and today we're talking about the budget process. It's not the most exciting stuff, but it is important. It started at the beginning of May, and it's going to take about a couple of weeks. Can you give us an overview of your request? It's a $268 million budget.
So one of the things that we pointed out in the budget is that the majority of that money goes to the salaries and benefits for the employees. We're one of the largest departments in the city, and over 70%, close to 80% of our budget goes to employees. So the salaries and benefits and those things. Some things that we are changing, we've been working on, since it does take so long to get police officers hired through the process, and we are shorthanded, we're trying to keep uniformed officers out of positions that non-sworn civilian personnel can do. And so we did add some positions there. We had 9 new positions, and those included some folks in our DNA lab. One of the biggest things is it included was a crisis intervention team coordinator that had previously been an officer position, and now it's going to be a civilian position, and we want someone that is a trained counselor, social worker background in that spot. So we're getting ready to fill that position as soon as the budget gets approved. And then also, you know, we had some positions that were overages that we were funding with a grant, and those positions will now become permanent, which there were 7 of those. So
you're hinting at the civilian positions. You requested 14 in total new civilian positions. What other roles will they take on? So
of that 14, 7 we already had. They were just they were being funded by that grant. But some examples of that, I have a social media coordinator and a videographer that we hired for our PIO office, our public information office, and that's to help get information out to the public that the police department is doing. For example, too, when we have a critical incident, they put together the video footage of that along with the narration and things that go with that. So there's a lot of work that comes out of that office. So those 2 positions were part of that. Positions we already had that will be now funded by the budget.
And were there new community relations positions, or those were already existing?
They already existed, and it was, again, you know, funded by other means and would just be now part of our budget.
As we know, community relations so important in this day and age.
Absolutely.
Okay. Let's also, on your request, more than $1 million for a real-time information center. What is that?
So real-time information centers are, you're seeing them all over the country in major cities, and they're ways to better approach crime and address it more efficiently. So for example, you know, when you have a shortage of officers, especially having eyes in locations around the city with cameras, businesses can come on board with this as well. And it allows us to better respond to crimes. If something happens, hopefully we can get eyes on it through a camera. We have analysts that are observing that can get the information out to the officers. More importantly, sometimes we get calls that are unfounded. So if we get a call and we can get eyes on it, the analyst can say, hey, we don't need to respond to that. Also, too, these real-time information centers, they help you predict things by trying to track behaviors. And for example, cities that have real-time information centers have been shown that they can intercept and interdict a lot of times on these active shooter situations, whether it be a school or a business. Doesn't mean they can stop all of them, but studies have shown that those cities that do that and actively, you know, look for this type of criminal behavior and try to intercept that can reduce the risk of that happening.
That is fascinating. And you mentioned businesses. Can they more or less patch their surveillance right into this real-time?
Absolutely. And we're going to start testing of the equipment because we want to make sure things are in place in July. And once we do that, we're going to start a big media push and release to the public to talk about how you come on board with the system, what it does, what it is. There's a lot of people that are concerned, you know, about cameras viewing what they're doing, but all the cameras are in public places. They're already there. Everywhere you go, you know, nowadays you're captured on somebody's video, whether it be a business or those kind of things, but it's not cameras looking in people's backyards or in their homes. It's only in public places that, you know, that people would already be and are moving about.
Well, we'll be watching for more information on that one and bring it to you right here on News 9. Chief, thanks for being with us this morning. If you have a question for Chief Gourley, you can send us an email at chatwiththechief@griffin.news. We'll see you next week.